Alright, so let's get into tonight's Monday Night Raw. Right off the rip, if you just kind of want to know my thoughts and then click off the video immediately, all the power to you in the world. Fine. Fine. Whatever. Whatever. Some quick news things to kind of cover. It seems as though Karrion Kross has been released from WWE, or at least his contract, his run-up is the more accurate way to put that, actually. So Karrion Kross's contract is up. Seems like he's gone. Braun Strowman put out a statement about, I'll let you guys look into that yourselves. All the extra outside the ring stuff, we don't really want to cover too much in these reviews. But Braun Strowman had an interesting tweet about it that you might want to look into. Braun Strowman, grammatical errors aplenty in his tweets. This one was no different. But something interesting, at least, there. Karrion Kross, his final match, Summerslam Saturday, taking the L against Sammy in a match that I was vocally, adamantly not a fan of. And it's a shame that that's how he went out. I really like the Karrion Kross character, and I'm curious to see where he ends up going. So, CageMatch.net. Cage Match put out a statement in regards to people review bombing or uplifting WWE SummerSlam, perhaps people getting a little toxic, mentioning other users, things of that nature. And I couldn't find any entry for Monday Night Raw tonight, and it looks like they're not allowing people to further review SummerSlam. So whatever score I said, I think it was a 6.4 out of 10 that SummerSlam held when I reviewed SummerSlam on Cage Match. Up in the air now. Up in the air if Cage Match will be a reference for WWE stuff going forward. Whatever. So again, I want to try to focus on keeping these reviews focused on the in-ring presented to TV storylines as much as possible. Don't want to get into the extrajudicial outside the ring stuff, but given how relevant a story it is at the moment, given how relevant and important it is right now, I want to point out that Janelle Grant's legal team put out a statement regarding Brock Lesnar's return, and I think you guys should go see what they had to say regarding Brock coming back. So with quick news out of the way, we can finally get into Monday Night Raw. So we open up with Seth Rollins. He does a promo here, introduced by Paul Heyman. The crowd, he has both Brawns at either side of him. The crowd is barking for Breaker, and then they erupt into some CM Punk chants before Heyman starts going off on a little tangent, starting off calling himself the GOAT, the greatest of all time. How couldn't he be, after all, is what he's saying. Seth ends up taking the mic after Paul calls out Roman and calls out CM Punk. So Seth shames the crowd a little bit. He has this perspective, it seems, that the crowd turned on him after he won the main event at WrestleMania, and how he did so with Paul Heyman by his side. And what ends up happening after that is a little weird. It's a little all over the place, because it would appear as though Seth has forgotten his lines. There's a lot of dead space, a lot of empty space here. He's not umming his way through it. He's not, nothing like that. But Seth Rollins delivers a pretty bad promo in ring here that is only saved by LA Knight coming out. That said, LA Knight, let me talk to you, Knight has some things to bring up. He brings up the Saturday night main event match where Seth ended up faking the injury and holds some resentment over that because he wanted to beat Seth up prior to that match, and didn't get the opportunity to because Seth faked this injury. So LA Knight wants Seth Rollins in the main event tonight. Seth Rollins says, yeah, no. Adam Pearce comes out, says, yeah, you guys are going to do this main event. This opening segment was, it stunk. Not good. Not good, but it does set up a pretty decent main event. Something worth being anticipated over throughout the course of the rest of the show, which is Seth versus LA Knight. Uncommon matchup, and excited to see where that may go. So, Backstage segment, we have the Judgment Day. They run in with LFI, and we have another match set up for tonight here. It's going to be Dom and Dragon Lee one-on-one, and AJ at the back end of this backstage portion comes in and reminds Dominic Mysterio, hey, I still got it out for you, buddy, and I still want that belt you got around your waist. So, something to keep in mind, food for thought. We're going to move into Rusev versus Sheamus. This was a match that, obviously there's some hard-hitting stuff in here, but there's a moment where Sheamus is on the ground, or on the mat, and Sheamus is asking for hard kicks, really stiff kicks, and Rusev does not oblige, let's just say that. And so for me, that was a weak point in this match, and right around this point in time, someone from the crowd audibly yelled at Rusev. You could hear it very loud over the broadcast. Go back to AEW. Rusev, this experiment has not necessarily been working out for him. I don't think he's gained really any traction. I don't know if people are all too excited to see him on a week-to-week basis. I don't think it's been working out too well for Rusev. This is a really slow match. What happens is they end up on the outside. Rusev has Sheamus atop the barricade here, his head there, and he is pound, pound, pound. Sheamus reverses it, does the same thing to Rusev, but by this point in time, they've both been out of the ring for a fair little while. So the bell rings, it's a double count out. In terms of the match, up until the double count out, I'm going to give it 2.5. I think it's fine. 2.5 stars. I think it's fine. So after this match, there's, Sheamus and Rusev just keep on brawling. Keep on sort of brawling through the crowd. Rusev throws the stairs at Sheamus. Sheamus hits a bro kick in return. They're fighting through security. This is something that's going to keep up through the rest of the night. So we get a backstage segment after this with the New Day. And they are acting with Grayson Waller, Big G, kind of as their third wheel guy who's trying to ingratiate himself into this group. It's a common trope in wrestling. You see it happen a lot. You saw it most recently, in my mind, with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, right? Kind of this odd pairing of this guy who really endearingly is trying to get over in this group. And Grayson is taking upon this mantle of Big G because obviously he's lost a little bit of weight recently. He looks fantastic. He looks really trim, really fit. And Big G, as was explained by commentary later in the evening, is kind of also an allusion to Big E. So that just fascinating there. And a match is set up where Grayson is going to be taking on Penta, and that match is next. So there are two big, really annoying commercial breaks. One before this match, one during, but we don't get to see a whole lot of in-ring action. You maybe get 5 minutes of actual stuff you get to see, excluding the commercial break, obviously, so because you don't see that. So this was kind of a nothing burger up until the ending, where I thought there was a pretty decent spot at the end where Grayson goes and he does a little somersault into the ring, and boom, eats a super kick right from Penta, and that sets up Penta to kind of sort of get into position for a Mexican Destroyer, hits it 1, 2, 3 on Big G, and that's the match. I give this 2 stars. It was a big nothing burger. Didn't matter a whole bunch, and I think there was an opportunity for you to have a longer stretch of Penta hitting his signature moves just to kind of spice things up a little bit, but the finish ended up being more creative than I thought it would be, so not too bad. So the New Day, I forgot to mention too, they're doing commentary throughout this match. They're at ringside, and Xavier has on this Sia hat. I don't know what necessarily it was. Large sombrero, I would say, and it looked absolutely ridiculous. They come in the ring to try to take care of Penta, to try to clear Penta out, and Penta clears them out, ends up donning the hat for himself before chucking it and doing a tope, and that's that. Alright, fine. We also get a video package, which once again reiterates to us that Brock Lesnar is back. Take with that what you will. I already made a video regarding my more nuanced and in-depth thoughts regarding that. So we now get a promo between Charlotte and Alexa. Okay, so it was funny. There was a funny moment here. Charlotte does her thing, arms outstretched. There's no pyro during her entrance, and she audibly says, "Where's my pyro, bro? Like, where is it?" That was funny. So Alexa or Charlotte asks, she's like, "Well, we could almost be, let's not put a label on it." The crowd starts chanting lesbians. At least it's a very small subsect of the crowd starts chanting lesbians. This is overtaken by friends, which is supposed to be the missing word here, but obviously hilarious that people inserted lesbians and tried to make that canonically relevant. The fans in the crowd who did that tonight in Brooklyn, New York, you have my props, my respect. Well done. So this promo goes on a little strangely. It's nothing great, and Charlotte seems to break at the end. She delivers her line. She laughs like, and then kind of does a little face and then tries to do her line again. And then Raquel and why can't I think of the Judgment Day? Okay, the Judgment Day. Their music hits and interrupts, and it was like, okay, that's a weird little moment there, but fine, whatever. And they square off in the middle of the ring, and Charlotte and Alexa, they're like, "Hey, we'll do a rematch with you folks right now. We have no gripes against defending these titles." Adam Pearce comes out, he says, title matches are supposed to take a little while, but screw it, it's a fun night, why not, let's do it. And so we immediately jump into Charlotte and Alexa against the Judgment Day, a rematch from WrestleMania Sunday? I believe it's SummerSlam, pardon me. I believe it was on Sunday that match was. So Charlotte is really kind of wrecking stuff. She's the first person in the match. She's wrecking stuff for a little while. Alexa gets the tag and also some sequence stuff. Looks like she's doing well before she's dismantled on the outside. This is where kind of Super Flair takes over, but the numbers game catches up to Super Flair after a while. And she's in trouble. Liv eventually makes it back up the apron, tagged in, gets in a little bit of offense, and then a Sister Abigail. Boom, 1, 2, 3. This was fine. This was nothing like, this wasn't as good as I think their match over the weekend was, but I thought it was perfectly fine and fit a pretty exciting role within Monday Night Raw and was a highlight of the night for me. This was good. I thought it was good, and I gave it 3 stars. So I thought it was pretty good. So we see Rhea and Io backstage. And Io reiterates to Rhea Ripley, "Hey, you've never beat me one-on-one. Just sit with that for a little while." That's it. That's all we really get from this interaction. Dirty Dom makes his entrance to the ring, but we're going to get a backstage segment before we get into Dirty Dom's match. And this is the Lyra and Bayley breakup that I don't think they needed to tell us what happened. I think we all could have figured. And it makes Lyra look a little bit like a sucker, a little bit, sort of maybe, just because it seems like in wrestling we've kind of gotten to a point where we're past the, "Oh my god, you accidentally hit me, I have to hate you now." Lyra sort of explains it as, "Hey, you and I in the same room, we don't work out well together. We don't work out to one another's benefit, do we?" And I thought that was a smart way to take it, but again, I don't know if this was necessary, but whatever. It's fine if it's the rule. Whatever. I'm overcomplicating that little 60-second spot. So we're going to get into Dirty Dom versus Dragon Lee. This is my match of the night. I thought it was great. I think Dom has been pretty goddamn good in everything he's been in this year. I think he's worked out really well. I'm really curious to see what happens for Triple Mania. I think there's a chance we see Dom be coronated as the AAA champion, and that would be, on one hand, very, very exciting. On the other, completely and totally devastating for the loss of El Hijo Vikingo, who is wow, he's the bee's knees. He is one of the best to ever do this. I mean, the Kingo, I always pronounce his name wrong, but I mean, he is fantastic. He's really good, and I'd hate to see him lose, but I'd also love to see Dom win. But that's beside the point. So this match is going really well for a while, and I really enjoy this. There's a couple good spots here. Like Dragon Lee, he does a sort of somersaulty looking thing over the rope, and on the way down connects with a kick that looked pretty stiff, looked really good. But this match is kind of upended when 3 El Grande Americanos show up, tres, and that ends up kind of distracting Dragon Lee. Dom gets a big boot on him, gets the pin, 1, 2, 3. I'm giving this 3.25 star. I thought up until the interference, it was gonna be a really great match. The interference was fine. It makes sense in storyline. Obviously, Dom, Dragon Lee, and Americano are the 3 WWE reps in that AAA 4-way for the title, for the Mega Championship. So, yeah, whatever. Dom, at the end of this match, El Grande Americano has cleared out. Dom is, about to beat up Dragon Lee a little bit more. AJ Styles music hits, prevents it from happening. Fine. So backstage, we see Sammy. He's interviewed by Jackie regarding his match with Karrion Kross and everything that entailed. And this is interrupted by Sheamus and Rusev, who prior, I forgot to mention, interrupted a backstage segment between Charlotte and Alexa with their fighting. They're just fighting all the way backstage. So we get a promo with Becky Lynch, the Intercontinental Women's Champion. She comes out. Weirdly enough, Nikki Bella's music hits. This fascinated me because I, for one, forgot that Nikki Bella was in the company. Every time that Nikki Bella shows up, I go, wait, is this a return? No, wait, she's signed right now, isn't she? And she is. She is signed to the company. So, and all of this is just stage dressing. To tell you that I really liked this promo. I thought this promo kind of saved what was otherwise kind of a lackluster Monday Night Raw up until this point. Kind of a little bit of a drag. Which, man, they kind of have been since they've moved to Netflix, but we'll not get into that right now. So, Nikki calls Nikki calls Becky a disappointment. Says, I know that people really liked you for a while. I know that you had a good connection with people. I know you were a locker room leader. Look at who you are now. I'm disappointed in you. And she brings up Becky doing Hollywood, which is weird for Nikki Bella to say, because Nikki Bella's first concern has never exactly been doing anything other than making herself a reality TV star, to my knowledge. So it's weird for Nikki Bella to accuse Becky Lynch of selling out to Hollywood. It's okay. Okay, sure, brother. So, apparently, Nikki Bella was also offered or had a role in Happy Gilmore 2 and was cut from the movie, which Becky mentions here saying, haha, I have so much power, I have so much sway, I'm the one who got you cut. Which is a great way to twist that, if that's the truth. I had no idea Nikki Bella was involved at all with Happy Gilmore. So, that's a fascinating wrinkle to throw in there. So Nikki responds, and she kind of goes into some characterizations of Becky, and she says, you're a liar like your husband is. That gets a big pop from the audience. What Becky responds with is, oh, husband? I don't know, I'm sitting here, I'm talking about my husband, but yours, you can't see him. Ooh, girls, Becky goes on to kind of frame herself as the bringer about of the sort of women's revolution a little bit, as the slayer of the diva era. And I thought all of this really worked out really well, and this is actually setting up pretty good. I really like this promo. I like when stuff gets a little personal. I like when outside the ring stuff is brought into, and you know, I don't like it when outside the ring stuff is brought into my reviews, but I like it when it plays into storyline. And this worked out really well here. I thought so. Becky ends up clocking Nikki and denies her a match for now, but we'll probably see a match down the line in the future. I'm not saying Nikki Bella is a terribly great performer, but I'm excited to see where this goes. This was a pretty good introductory little sequence for this feud here. Naomi is backstage. She's kind of just teasing her match for Clash of Paris. Nothing crazy here. We get news from Michael Cole that Gunther is out indefinitely following the main event of SummerSlam Saturday. That's big news. That's important. So Gunther, a little vacation. Hope he's well. He probably is. And well-deserved time off for Gunther. Hope he gets some good rest. Hope he gets some decent medical care. He's been going hard for a little while. And all the respect in the world to Gunther. So we have some matches announced for next week, which are kind of exciting. Sammy versus Rusev in what should be a pretty decent clash of styles, and we're going to have Naomi versus Io Sky. Ooh, and that's going to be a Raw match, a television match. That should be good. I'm going to keep my eyeballs on that one. I'm excited for it. And then we get our way into the main event, LA Knight versus Seth Rollins for the World's Heavyweight Championship. Backstage before this match, the Alphas approach Becky Lynch and set up some stuff for next week. I forget what happened here, and my notes are not comprehensive enough, folks. So LA Knight and Seth have a pretty decent match here, I would say. Everything goes well. The crowd even gets a "This is awesome" chant. I don't know that I would echo the crowd's sentiment. I don't know that it was awesome, but it was good, if not great. And, just sequential wrestling here that moved to move. And it was fluid, and it felt, in comparison to some of the other stuff on the show, it felt very smooth, especially in comparison to kind of Sheamus Rusev. Like, there was more fluidity in this match, and I was grateful for that. This kind of ends with Seth setting up. He has LA Knight, who is laying out, spread across barricade, and Seth hits a stomp on top of LA Knight here. Seth takes off the padding on outside the ring apron, revealing the concrete, sets LA Knight up for a stomp atop the concrete, and CM Punk intervenes, costing LA Knight the match, disqualifying LA Knight. So CM Punk and Seth are brawling. They brawl out closer to the entrance ramp. Punk is speared at this point by Braun Breaker, and LA Knight gets involved again, starts beating on Seth. Bronson comes out, and then Seth, Bronson, Braun Breaker seem to be clearing house here, and that's how the show ends. LA Knight had a little bit of a moment with CM Punk where he was like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? You just cost me the match." And I think this is interesting because I think there's two ways you could take this. Obviously, you could run it back with LA Knight and Seth, give them a more proper match, maybe a Clash in Paris. And this could be the start of a little feud almost between LA Knight and CM Punk, two of your bigger promo guys who could really try to eviscerate one another on the mic. And I think that could be a lot of fun to see. That said, the match ended inconclusively. A lot of Monday Night Raw matches do. I'm giving it 3 stars. And I thought it was pretty good. I thought, the way they ended the show was fine, if not a little predictable, with Seth holding the belt and his group there closing out the show on top. So this show overall, procedural, a little boring, not necessarily any huge indications of where things are gonna end up going. Nothing huge really shaking up the main event scene one way or the other. Pretty decent wrestling throughout, and I'm gonna end up giving this one a C-. I thought it was fine. It was a mediocre kind of slow down catch up after a pay-per-view show. I haven't been too hot on Monday Night Raw this year, but this kind of just falls in line like a sort of 5 to 6 out of 10 show for me, where it was fine. It hit certain notes pretty well, but there were pretty, the opening Seth promo, not great. And then Sheamus Rusev, I wasn't a big fan. I thought that match got a lot better after the bell rang. So, yeah, guys, Monday Night Raw in the books, and here's your review. C-. So, stay tuned. We're going to be back reviewing AEW Dynamite, which is this Wednesday, and I will be there live in person, Cleveland, Ohio, the Wolstein Center. So, gonna give you guys a pretty good review for that one. I'm really looking forward to it. So, see ya on the flippity flow.